Hello friends, Rahul Jha welcomes you. Today we are going to talk on a topic why cities are sinking in many parts of world. So let's start. Cities sink for various reasons, but one common cause is subsidence, which is the gradual sinking or settling of groundwater. Subsidence can be triggered both by natural and human induced factors. Here are some reasons why cities sink. Groundwater extraction. One of the primary causes of subsidence in urban areas is the excessive extraction of groundwater. When groundwater is pumped out faster than it can be replenished naturally, the soil compacts and settles, leading to sinking land levels. This is a significant issue in which many cities around the world where groundwater is heavily relied upon for drinking water and industrial purposes. Natural geology. Certain geological formations, such as soft clay or loose sedimentary deposits, are prone to settling over time. Cities built on these type of soils are more susceptible to sinking. Construction activities. Urban development often involves the construction of heavy buildings and infrastructure, which can compress the underlying soil and cause subsidence. Additionally, the excavation of underground resources like minerals or oil can lead to land subsidence. Sediment compaction. Reclamation of land from bodies of water such as rivers, lakes, or seas can lead to compaction of sedimentary layers beneath the newly reclaimed land. Over time, this compaction can cause the land to sink. Natural disasters. Events such as earthquakes or volcanic activity can cause sudden subsidence in affected areas, leading to sinking of buildings and infrastructure. Climate change. Rising sea levels due to climate change can exacerbate subsidence in coastal cities. As sea level rise, the increased pressure on coastal aquifers can cause the land to sink more rapidly. Poor urban planning. Inadequate urban planning, such as construction of building on unstable ground or improper drainage system, can contribute to subsidence in urban areas. Addressing the issue of sinking cities often requires a combination of measures, including sustainable groundwater management, improved urban planning practices, infrastructure maintenance, and adaptation of impacts of climate change. Is more construction responsible for sinking? Yes, construction activities can indeed contribute to land subsidence, particularly in urban areas where large scale development projects are common. Construction related factors can exacerbate subsidence in several ways. Building weight. The weight of buildings and infrastructure can compress the underlying soil, leading to subsidence over time. Especially in areas with weak or compressible soils, this effect is particularly pronounced in densely populated urban centers with tall buildings. Ground excavation. Construction often involves digging foundations for buildings, underground parking lots, or utility tunnels. This excavation can disturb the natural equilibrium of soil layers and lead to settling or sinking of ground surface. Land reclamation. In some cases, cities expand by reclaiming land for bodies of water, such as rivers, lakes, or seas. The process of filling in these areas with sediment or artificial material can lead to compaction and subsidence of newly reclaimed land. Groundwater extraction. Construction projects may require dewatering of excavation sites, which involves pumping groundwater out of area. Excessive groundwater extraction can cause the surrounding soil to compact and settle, leading to land subsidence. Changes in drainage pattern. Construction of new buildings and infrastructure can alter natural drainage pattern, leading to changes in groundwater flow and soil moisture levels. Poorly managed drainage systems can exacerbate social erosion and subsidence. While construction activities can contribute to land subsidence, it's im- it is important to note that they are often just one of the several factors at play. Sustainable construction practices, proper site selection, and careful consideration of local geological conditions can help mitigate the impacts of construction-related subsidence. Additionally, ongoing monitoring and maintenance of infrastructure are crucial for identifying and addressing subsidence issues before they become serious problems. What can happen as a result? The consequences of land subsidence can be significant and can impact both the natural environment and human infrastructure in various ways. Damage to building and infrastructure. Sinking land levels can cause structural damages to building, roads, bridges, and other infrastructure. Cracks in walls and foundation, uneven floors, and distorted or collapsed structure are common manifestation of subsidence. This can lead to costly repairs and pose safety risk to residents and users of infrastructure. Flooding. Land subsidence can alter natural drainage patterns, leading to increased risk of flooding, particularly in low-lying areas or regions prone to heavy rainfall. Subsidence can also compromise the effectiveness of drainage system, exacerbating flood risk during extreme weather events. Loss of agricultural land. Subsidence can affect agricultural productivity by altering soil fertility, drainage, and irrigation patterns. Sinking land levels may result in loss of arable land and can impact crop yields, affecting local economies and food security. Saltwater intrusion. In coastal areas, land subsidence can increase the risk of salt water intrusions into fish aquifers. As the land sinks, coastal aquifers may become more vulnerable to contamination by seawater, threatening drinking water supply for coastal communities. Ecological impacts. Land subsidence can disrupt natural ecosystem by altering habitat condition and hydrological regime. Wetlands, marshes, and other sensitive habitats may be particularly vulnerable to the effect of subsidence, leading to loss of biodiversity and ecological degradation. Infrastructure vulnerability. Subsidence can render infrastructure more vulnerable to other hazards such as earthquakes, tsunamis, and storm surges. Sinking level Sinking land levels may exacerbate the impact of these events, increasing the likelihood of damage and disruption to critical infrastructure systems. Socioeconomic impacts. The cumulative effect of land subsidence can have significant socioeconomic impacts on affected communities, including loss of property value, displacement of residents, and disruption of livelihoods. In extreme cases, subsidence may render areas uninhabitable, leading to forced relocation and social upheaval. Addressing the consequences of land subsidence requires a multifaceted approach that includes proactive land use planning, sustainable groundwater management, investment in resilient infrastructure, and ecosystem based adaptation strategies. By understanding the causes and potential impacts of subsidence, communities can take steps to mitigate risks and build resilience to this complex phenomenon. What is solution? Addressing land subsidence requires a comprehensive and multifaceted approach that involves both short-term mitigation measures and long-term strategies for sustainable land management. Here are some solutions. Groundwater management. Implementing sustainable groundwater management practices is crucial for mitigating land subsidence caused by excessive groundwater extraction. This may include measures such as regulating pumping rates, promoting water conservation, implementing groundwater recharge projects, and developing alternative water resources. Land use planning. Adopting appropriate land use planning strategies can help minimize the risk of subsidence in vulnerable areas. This may involve zoning regulation to restrict development in high risk zones, conducting through geological surveys before approving construction projects, and promoting compact urban development to reduce pressure on land resources. Infrastructure design and maintenance. Designing infrastructure with subsidence in mind can help minimize its vulnerability to sinking land levels. This may include using flexible building materials, incorporating foundation designs that can accommodate ground movement, and implementing regular maintenance and monitoring programs to detect and address subsidence related damage promptly. Natural resource management. Protecting the restoring natural resources such as wetlands, marshes, and forests can help stabilizing social conditions and reduce the risk of subsidence. Ecosystem-based approaches to land management can enhance soil structure, regulate water flow, and improve overall landscape resilience to subsidence. Investment in resilient infrastructures. Investing in resilient infrastructure that can withstand the impact of subsidence and other hazards is essential for reducing vulnerability and ensuring the continued functionality of critical systems. This may include retrofitting existing infrastructure to improve its resilience, incorporating climate change projections into infrastructure design, and diversifying water supply sources to reduce reliance on groundwater. Community engagement and education. Raising an awareness about the causes and consequences of land subsidence and engaging local communities in decision-making processes are essential component of effective subsidence mitigating effort. Educating residents about sustainable water uses, practices, land management techniques, and disaster preparedness measure can empower communities to take action to reduce their vulnerability to subsidence. Policy and regulation. Enacting and enforcing policies and regulations that promote sustainable land management practices and regulate activities contributing to subsidence is critical for addressing the root cause of problem. This may include establishing groundwater monitoring programs, imposing restrictions on groundwater extraction, and providing incentive for water conservation and sustainable development practices. By implementing these solutions in a coordinated and integrated manner, communities can effectively mitigate the impacts of land subsidence and build resilience to this complex phenomena. Collaboration among government agencies, policymakers, researchers, industry stakeholders, and local communities is essential for achieving meaningful and sustainable results. Can sinking be reversed? Reversing land subsidence is challenging and often not feasible once it has occurred. However, there are some strategies that can help slow down or mitigate the effect of sinking land levels. Groundwater management. By implementing sustainable groundwater management practices such as reducing pumping rates, replenishing aquifers through artificial recharge, and promoting water conservation, it may be possible to stabilize groundwater levels and slow down the rate of land subsidence. Artificial ground recharge. Artificially recharging aquifers with treated wastewater, stormwater, or surface water can help replenish depleted groundwater reserves and reduce the compaction of underlying soil layers, thereby mitigating land subsidence. Land reclamation. In some cases, land subsidence can be mitigated by reclaiming sunken areas through techniques such as soil replacement, soil compaction, and construction of engineered structures to support the land surface. Infrastructure retrofitting. Retrofitting existing buildings and infrastructure to improve their resilience to subsidence related ground movement can help minimize damage and ensure their continued functionality. This may involve reinforcing foundations, installing flexible piping systems, and implementing monitoring and maintenance programs to detect the address subsidence related issue. Ecosystem restoration. Restoring protecting natural ecosystems such as wetlands, marshes, and forests can help stabilize soil conditions, regulate water flow, and reduce the risk of subsidence. Ecosystem based approaches to land management can enhance soil structure and promote landscape resilience to subsidence, managed aquifer recharge, implementing managed aquifer recharge programs, which involves intentionally directing surface water into groundwater aquifers for storage and later use, can help replenish depleted groundwater reserves and mitigate the effects of subsidence. While these strategies may help slow down or mitigate the effects of land subsidence, reversing subsidence entirely is often not feasible, particularly in case where extensive groundwater extraction has caused irreversible damage to underlying geological formation. Prevention and proactive management, and therefore key to minimizing the impacts of land subsidence and ensuring the long-term sustainability of land and water resource. Which cities in the world can sink in future? Predicting which cities might experience future sinking due to land subsidence involves considering various factors such as geological conditions, groundwater extraction rates, urban development patterns, and climate change impacts. While it's challenging to provide a definitive list, some critical cities around the world are already experiencing or are at risk of significant land subsidence. Here are for examples. City, Mexico. Mexico City is one of the most well-known examples of land subsidence, largely due to excessive groundwater extraction to meet the needs of its growing population. Parts of city have sunk by several meters over the past centuries, leading to widespread infrastructure damage and increased flood risks. Jakarta, Indonesia. Jakarta is experiencing rapid land subsidence, primarily due to groundwater extraction, the weight of urban development, and natural compaction of its soil, clay soils. The city is particularly vulnerable to flooding and saltwater intrusions as a result of sinking land levels and rising sea levels. Venice, Italy. Venice is sinking at the rate of few millimeters per year, compounded by rising sea levels. The city's unique geological setting and extensive groundwater extraction have contributed to its subsidence over centuries. Combined with impacts of climate change, Venice faces ongoing challenges related to flooding and erosion. Bangkok, Thailand. Bangkok is situated on soft clay soils and is experiencing significant land subsidence exacerbated by rapid urbanization, groundwater extraction, and changes in surface water management. Subsidence poses serious challenges for city infrastructure, including increased flood risk during the monsoon season. Tehran, Iran. Tehran. Rapid population growth and extensive groundwater extraction have led to land subsidence in various parts of city. The compaction of underlying sediments and the depletion of aquifers contributing to sinking land levels, which can exacerbate infrastructure damage and increase seismic risk. Houston, United States. Houston is experiencing subsidence primarily due to extensive groundwater extraction for municipal, industrial, and agricultural purposes. The city geology, combined with urban development and changes in land use, contribute to sinking land levels, which can increase flood risks and infrastructure damage during extreme weather events. These examples highlight the complex interplay of factors contributing to land subsidence in urban areas around the world. As a global population continue to grow and urbanize, addressing the root cause of subsidence, such as unsustainable groundwater management and urban development practices, will be essential for mitigating its impact on cities and their inhabitants. Which cities in India can sink in future? Several cities in India are facing or at risk of land subsidence due to various factors such as groundwater extraction, urbanization, geological conditions, and climate change. While predicting future sinking with certainty is a challenging task, here are some Indian cities that are currently experiencing or are vulnerable to land subsidence. Chennai. Chennai, located on the southeastern coast of India, is experiencing land subsidence primarily due to excessive groundwater extraction. The city Rapid urbanization and population growth have increased the demand for groundwater, leading to depletion of aquifers and sinking land levels. Subsidence exacerbates flooding and infrastructure damages during monsoon seasons. Delhi, India's capital city, Delhi is facing land subsidence as a result of extensive groundwater extraction for drinking water, industrial and agricultural purposes. Rapid urban development and population growth have further exacerbated subsidence, leading to infrastructural damage, groundwater contamination, and increased flood risk in some areas. Mumbai. Mumbai, located on the western coast of India, is susceptible to land subsidence due to its extensive urbanization, geological conditions, and groundwater extraction. The city's low-lying areas are particularly vulnerable to sinking land levels, which can increase flood risk and infrastructure damage during monsoon seasons and storm surging. Bangalore. Bangalore, the capital of Karnataka, is experiencing land subsidence due to excessive groundwater extraction for urban development, industrial activities, and agriculture. The city's rapid growth and expanding population have put pressure on its groundwater resources, leading to sinking land levels, groundwater depletion, and infrastructure damage. Kolkata. Kolkata, located in eastern part of India, is facing land subsidence primarily due to groundwater extraction and the natural compaction of its soft sedimentary soils. The city's extensive urbanization and population density have increased the demand for groundwater, leading to sinking land levels, flooding, and infrastructure damage in some areas. Ahmedabad. Ahmedabad, the largest city of Gujarat, is vulnerable to land subsidence due to its reliance on groundwater for drinking water and industrial purposes. The city's rapid urbanization and industrial growth have led to excessive groundwater extraction, depletion of aquifers, and sinking land levels, which can increase flood risk and infrastructure damage during monsoon seasons. These cities highlight the urgent need for sustainable groundwater management, urban planning, and infrastructure development to mitigate the impact of land subsidence and ensure the long-term sustainability of water resources and urban environment in India. Thank you.